I'll introduce everybody. Welcome, everyone. This is Tom Reitman with the California Association of Realtors, and thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar entitled Stop Wasting Time and Start Making Money in Real Estate. And, of course, you know, the key to life is to make the most of it and use our time wisely. So hopefully today, by you tuning in, it'll be a wise choice and usage of your time. Our speaker today is Kendyl Young. She is the founder and owner of Diggs, and it's a residential boutique brokerage in Glendale, California. Her detailed style of business has led to 27 successful years of selling and the launch of her own brokerage. And she's also named on Inman's list of influential real estate leaders, and is a popular writer, speaker, and thought leader in the industry. And in 2015, last year, she doubled her business with the help of Realvolve, which is what we're going to talk about today. And she's going to show you some of her workflows, which will hopefully help you save some time and money. So, Kendyl, I think we've got you going. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. And I can see your screen, Kendyl, so hopefully everyone can see your screen. And let me just do a little house clean before we start. You all should have that little taskbar up on the right, which you can minimize by, if you see the little red box with a white arrow, if you click on that, it'll minimize that screen. And then also, we do want questions. Everyone's muted. We've got, I think, over 1,200 registered for this, so quite a few people. So we've got you all on mute. And but we do want your questions, and we'll take those at the end, if you can wait till the end so that we can keep this flowing. But I appreciate Gloria Mendoza and Leslie Guzman and Devin Vickery for saying that you can hear us and see us, so I appreciate you responding. And let's see. Oh, and also we will be recording this. So if you have to cut out, or if you know somebody who wasn't able to make it, don't worry. The fact that you registered or they registered, you will all be getting an email later this afternoon with a link to the recording. So you'll have that, and you can go ahead and review that. So anyway, with that long-winded introduction, I am going to turn it over to you, Kendyl.
Thank you, Tom. Technical difficulties are always the fun part of doing webinars, especially when you're live.
Live without a net.
Right, exactly. That's exactly how I feel, live without a net. And if I was one of those professional speakers, I'd be like all smooth and stuff. But actually, I'm a selling, managing broker just like everybody out there. And today I want to talk to you about how you can save time and make money. And that's really, you know, what I think we're all really kind of after at the end of the day. We'd like to save time, get our lives back. We'd like to make more money, right? And we want to do this in a way that makes sense. So here's who I am. I'm Kendyl. This is a picture of my office, and I am in front of the clients every day. I know exactly what you're hearing, what you're feeling. I have really happy clients talking to me every day, and I have not so happy clients talking to me today. I'm managing agents and trying to figure out how to get them productive, dealing with vendors. I have all of the same stresses that you guys are feeling, and we're in the spring market, so I think we're all feeling a little bit stretched on what we can get done. So I'm going to be speaking to you from that point of view, from somebody who really just wants to do a better job for my clients, for my agents, for my company, and to make money for my family. Okay, so let's start with this. First question that I think we need to ask, I mean, you're on this webinar because you know you either are using a CRM and you're wondering if there's a better solution, or you're wondering if you actually need to do that. Maybe you've got your contacts on an Excel spreadsheet, maybe it's in your phone, maybe it's on Post-it notes, or maybe it's in a CRM that's not really doing anything for you, and you want to know, why do you need a CRM in the first place? And then, you know, the next question is, which CRM do you need, right? And so we'll get into why you need a CRM. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I think our job is really hard. I mean, it's hard. And why is it hard? It's because we need to create the clients. We got to do all the prospecting, the networking, the social media, the marketing, the follow-up, and we got to do all of that, right? And at the same time, we have to do the business. We got to go on the appointments, do the paperwork, the follow-up, the negotiations, coordinating and managing vendors who, by the way, have relatives that can die multiple times. We got to do all of that. And at the same time, We need to manage our real estate business. We need to find and hire staff. We got to train the staff, manage the staff, hold the staff accountable. We need to pay the bills, and we need to manage our budget so that we can actually pay the bills. And at the same time as all of that, we have to figure out how to create that repeat and referral business that we all desire. We need to stay relevant, stay in touch, be of value, don't spam them, and most of all, we need to be real. And that is a lot. I mean, that's like several full-time jobs all at once. And on top of that, we have to be moms and dads and friends and daughters and uncles and all the things that we do in normal daily life. So our job is really, really hard. And most of us get it all done, but what's the cost, right? I mean, we're juggling all of these things. Something's got to give, and what is it? And I don't know about you guys. I think this visual, it speaks to me. You know that guy in the circus that is spinning those plates? They got this long line, and they start the first plate spinning, and they go down the line spinning these little plates, and by the time they get to the end, the first one's wobbling, and you're sure it's going to fall, and he races over to the end and then spins that plate. That's before Realvolve, before I got organized. That's kind of how I felt like my day was all day long. Just trying like heck to keep those plates from crashing to the floor and shattering into a million different bits. And a CRM, a good organization, helps us to keep those plates spinning with a lot less effort. And we do this by keeping it with a lot less effort because we know at some level, at a deep cellular level, that success isn't anything if you don't have a life to live. Now, I started doing business in the 80s when it was a really big deal to be a high flyer with lots of material goods and whatnot, and it was like de rigueur. It was the thing to be so busy that you had absolutely no life. And well, if anybody saw the movie Wolves of Wall Street, you know how that went down, right? Today, we're a little more focused on making sure that we not only have material, tangible success, but we also want a good life. We also want good relationships. We also want the ability to do the things that fulfill our soul, right? So how do we do this? Well, the first thing I want to let you know is that many of you are on this webinar and you don't really have a CRM, or you're not really using a CRM to its highest potential. And there's a part of you that's curious. It's like, well, what do I have to actually do to get an organization in place? And I just want to know, because someday I'm going to be busy and someday I'm going to need this stuff, and I want to know what to do. And John Wooden, famous coach guy, he says, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. So I want you to know that even if you don't think you need a big solution, by the time you need the big solution, it's almost too late, right? So hear what I have to say. Take a look at our tools and understand that even if you don't think you need them right now, now is the perfect time to be looking at something that's great. And why is now a great time? Because amateur hour is over in our industry. Gone are the days when our industry was completely populated with people who were, I say this without judgment, housewives. And I don't mean it as in a housewife isn't a great profession, because it's the hardest profession in the world. But the idea that you were doing real estate as kind of a placeholder until you got to your real life, right? As a part-time thing, as a little fill-in gig, as in, that's gone. In order to be successful in this industry now, you can't be an amateur. You can't be a dilettante. You can't be someone who will just like dabble in it, because if you do, you're going to get run over like a Mack truck by someone, like me. And so why is amateur hour gone? And one of my first business consultants, a guy named Jeff Hodgson, he used to tell me that in every business transaction there is a wall of consequence. There is this brick wall. And your job as a professional is to avoid the brick wall, right? I mean, that's what it is. And what is a brick wall of consequence? It would be like, in our business, it would be like the termite work has to get done and the certificate of completeness put in before we can close escrow. And that's the brick wall of consequence. If you don't get it done, you can't close escrow. Well, if you don't see the brick wall until 5 minutes before, there's no way you're getting that tent on and off and certificate of completion in order to close escrow, right? So that's your brick wall of consequence. So what does an amateur do? An amateur doesn't see the brick wall of consequence until they're right up against it. I mean, they can't see it because they didn't know it was going to be there. So they get to that brick wall of the termite completion or the loan documents getting signed, and they spend exorbitant amounts of energy and drama and chaos in order to try to avoid that brick wall. It's like they see the brick wall, they're like, oh my God, we have to take evasive maneuvers. It's DEFCON 6, all hands on deck. And they spend pretty much the entire transaction in that state of chaos. We have all observed the agent who runs around all day long with their hair on fire. That's what I call it, the hair on fire agent. And some of them do it even when they're experienced because it's just their gig. But a lot of them are just, they're hardworking, wonderful people. They don't have the experience or the tools to understand the brick wall's coming. So they just react all transaction long. They're reacting to the brick walls that pop up right in front of them. And half the time, they slam into the brick wall. And the other half, they just barely miss the brick wall because they did heroic efforts, but there's still collateral damage. And who is being damaged? Well, primarily client, right? The client is the one who's the collateral damage, and the clients are saying, you know, I'm not going to put up with that. I don't want an amateur. I don't want someone who doesn't know what brick walls are. I want a professional. And here's what a professional does. A professional, like me, I've been around the block 6,000 or 7,000 times, and I have seen the brick walls. I know where they're going to be. Somebody like me, we're at the beginning of the transaction and we make tiny little course corrections. I mean, you can't even see our course corrections, they're so tiny. But these course corrections will completely avoid the brick wall. In fact, nobody even knew the brick wall was there. We just sailed right past it because we know what to do, how to do, and how to do it before it ever becomes a problem. So you're in a transaction with a professional, there's no hair on fire, there's no drama. In fact, we make it look really easy. And that is what the consumer is now demanding. It's what they're expecting. So amateurs, sorry, that's gone. Professionals, that's the norm. And how does a professional make that happen? Well, before I get into that, you need to understand that, again, John Wooden, you know, coach guy, never mistake activity for achievement. An amateur is mistaking all of their evasive maneuvers, all of their reaction, all of their time spent with their hair on fire. They mistake that as activity, and they think their activity is proof of how successful they are, how much achievement they are. They're the ones that get on Facebook and say, I'm so exhausted, but I'm happy that we closed escrow for our very lovely clients, right? Activity is not an achievement. An achievement is a great result for your client, and that's what the professional is focusing on, not on the activity. So let's take a look at activity, right? Let's take a look at activity as it relates to the person who's truly a professional. And there's two types of activity, right? Kind of obvious. One is productive activity. The other one is non-productive activity. And the average agent, the typical agent, the normal agent is spending up to 75% of their day in non-productive activity and 25% in productive activity. So you're probably saying, well, Kendall, what is non-productive activity? What are they doing? Playing, you know, cards all day long? No. Here's what non-productive activity is. Client assurance. I didn't say it wasn't important. I just said it's not productive to getting business, right? Problem solving. Again, very important, but it's non-productive. Paperwork, inspections, bookkeeping, preparation for your presentations. Here's a clue. You don't need to spend all day preparing for your listing presentation. No, you don't. Training, managing staff. Very important, but it's non-productive. And logistics with the vendors, like I said, who have relatives that can die multiple times. Those are all non-productive activities, and they consume the vast majority of time for that really active but somewhat amateurish agent. And why do they do that? Well, I think that one of the great and seductive parts about our business is that we love being superheroes. We love helping people. We love that feeling when the client says, God, I'm so glad that you took care of X or Z. Now, the truth of the matter is, and we all know agents like this, we know that there are agents who maybe even create problems so they can swoop in and be the one to solve them. But we're not going to talk about that either. We're talking about the agents who truly just want to be great human beings and do a great job for their client. They often mistake that greatness for looking like a superhero as often as possible. But here's what an ideal agent looks like. They're actually spending up to 70% of their time in productive activity, not non-productive. So what does that look like? Productive activity is prospecting. Productive activity is the negotiations. Productive activity is listing appointments. And productive activity is showing appointments, not showing appointments to the looky-loo who's never going to buy a house, showing appointments to someone who needs, wants, and desires to be in a house within, a reasonable time period. Okay, that's productive, and that's what the ideal agent is spending the bulk of their time doing. But like we said, the non-productive stuff is important, and now we're going to get to the meat of the CRM stuff. Non-productive activity is important. It's not like they're doing prospecting and negotiations at the expense of non-productive. The difference is that they have great systems. They have the ability to delegate, and they have the ability to hold accountable the people that they delegate things to. Great systems, delegation, and accountability, right? That is the difference between the typical agent and the ideal agent. So here's where we get to Realvolve. We've designed a new way to run your business, recognizing everything that I've just said to you, okay? So what does that look like? Okay, the reason that you see all of this sports-related stuff is that my coach, and I've had him for like 17 years, he's a Super Bowl playing linebacker football guy. So he's always saying sports-type stuff to me, and I can't help but absorb it. And he says, like every month, failing to plan is planning to fail, right? And I think that most of us, especially those of us who spend most of our day in the reactionary mode, we are reacting to things because we didn't take, or we couldn't, or we believed that we couldn't take the time to plan in advance so that we are planning for our success. And we need a plan. And so if you coach with a football player, a plan looks like a playbook. So here's what needs to go in a playbook. You need to keep your contact data and all of your history. You need something that will intelligently remind you to contact the most important people. You need to make it easy and automatic to contact people. You need ironclad transaction management, keep people happy. You need to track and manage your dates and deadlines, and I can't keep them in my head anymore, so I need something that helps me to do that. I need something that will help me to delegate and to hold accountable the people I delegate to. And I need to run my team, and I need something that will help me coach them. And if you're a single agent, I have news for you. At some point in time, you're either going to be running a team or be on a team, because that's where our industry is going. So having that ability to manage the team or be managed by a team is going to be really important in our organizational and management tools moving forward. So that's a lot of stuff, and I'm going to take just one of them, the transaction management, and I'm going to show you how this is important, how this has changed, and how you need to get your life back with great transaction management. And we do it with something that we call workflows. Okay, so there are those of you who have been around the block, like me, 6,000 or 7,000 times, and you've got a list, right? Those of you who are newer, maybe you don't have a list, but you know, now that I've said it, that a list is like super important, right? Because you open escrow, and there's a whole bunch of things that need to get done, and it would be really great to have a roadmap to follow, right? And those of us have been doing it. We've jotted down over the years the things that we're going to follow. We've got a list. So, where is your list, right? Is it on a piece of paper? It's on a napkin. Is it maybe a document, a PDF document that you have in a cloud drive that you share with your team, right? Where's your list? Do you have one? So here's the thing about my list, and I've been doing them compulsively since I started real estate a few decades ago. It's never, our lists look like this, right? They're just, first take the listing, then you sign the contract, you upload MLS. It's very linear, and each item is a like standalone silo. Do this, then you do this, then you do this, right? But our transactions are never like that. I mean, they're never in a straight line. like my clients just don't follow my playbook. They go and do other stuff. So my transaction looked like this: a many-headed hydra that branches off in a bajillion different ways, right? So if I have a linear list, pretty soon my list is going to be, kind of irrelevant. And here's what's important to recognize. I love Bruce Lee. Does anybody else love Bruce Lee? Okay, give me a high five. Bruce Lee is awesome, and one of the things that he said is you should be like water. And what did Bruce mean? He meant that in a situation where there's a lot of stress and a lot of stuff going on, and that's what an escrow often is, you need to be able to flow like water into the gaps. You need to be able to be changeable, malleable, and always looking to fill where you need to fill. But water's relentless, right? It's not a weak thing. It's a very strong thing. Water's relentless. It always gets its goal. It always gets to where it wants to go. And that's what we need to be. We need to be like water, endlessly flexible, endlessly filling the gaps as they show up, but relentless. And every deal is unique, right? Every single deal is unique. And when you have every deal is unique, your task list has to be like water. It's got to adjust to that unique deal. And with every unique deal, I need just the right to-dos, just in time, with just the right tools, and with just the right person. And they need to be automated as much as possible, because I often say our day is lost in 5-minute chunks, right? So with that in mind, let's take a look at what Realvolve can do to help you be like water, to be endlessly flexible for our unique deals. Our workflows is kind of like what you're probably referring to as your task list for a transaction, okay? And our workflows are made up of individual activities. Each activity is very powerful. It gives you that flexibility to have that just right to-do list that flexes and moves as your transaction does. So here's what our activity window looks like. And I want to show you a few parts of this one window, this one activity. We can make it so your activity has really flexible timing. There are other programs that have this ability that we can time it, right, so many days before or after the start of escrow, right? But we looked at that and said, no. I need more flexibility. I need to be able to time something off the termite inspection date. Right? I can't send out the reminder to my seller that the termite guy is going to be there and to make sure that the stuff in the garage is 2 feet away from the perimeter. I can't do that until I know when the termite is going to be done. Right? So I need to be able to time my activities off of that. Or like for me, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I cannot do until I get the pictures of my listing back. Right? And I don't know when that photography date is going to be. So I can time things so that, for example, we finish our brochure and send to printer 3 days after the photography date. So our timing is very flexible, very, very powerful. The next thing I want to show you is flexible frequency. There are things that happen, like for example, when you follow the client, you want to follow up once a week, right? So we can make it so that it's once a week on a specific day, specific time, that sort of thing. In a transaction, I like to call my clients once a week and always on Wednesday. Always. They can depend on that. So I have an activity that says call seller every Wednesday, right? And after, this one says 20 occurrences, it's more like 6, because that's how escrow is, 4 weeks plus another 2 in case it goes. So, but we put it in there so that there is this predictable activity, okay? Automation is another big deal. So there's lots of things that we do, and we send an email or a text message, and every single transaction we do the same thing. So an example would be when you open escrow, you send a letter to the other side telling them who's on your team, how you contact them, what their roles are, and then saying, and here's all the deadline dates. Let us know if we are on the same page or if you have different dates, right? And I think all of us do some variation of that. And when I did that before Realvolve, that letter would take me, 10, 20 minutes to type out all the names and addresses, look it up. I put in things like the mortgage broker and the escrow broker, and that can change from deal to deal, right? So automation means that I've pre-written this letter, and I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later on. And it's called opening to seller, right? And so when we open up the escrow, 0 days after the ratification of contract date, this letter goes out. And instead of taking 10, 20 minutes to write this letter and send it an email, it takes 5 seconds to review it and hit the send key, right? So our day is lost in 5-minute chunks. Automation helps to take really small things that we don't think are a big deal and chunk them down into a really, really efficient deal. And you keep doing this. There's 68, things in my escrow transaction list. If every one of them saves me 5 minutes, that's a bunch of time that's saved on every transaction. You times that by 50 to 100 transactions, that's a lot of time saved in your year, right? So automation, huge deal. Checklists, I love checklists. Okay, I'm a checklist kind of a gal. I think you already kind of get that from me. So checklists are awesome because they allow me to feel confident that a detail is not going to fall through the cracks or left undone, because I don't know about you, but that's what keeps me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, did I do this? Did I get all of the documents? And so this is a checklist of documents that we need to close an escrow. We're all California agents here, so these are not a surprise, right? And it goes way down beyond that little fold. And what my TC does is, as we receive documents, she just checks them off the list. Check, 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 right? And 6 days or 7 days before the close of escrow, she can do this missing document letter. So it's called missing document, and what's so cool is that Realvolve knows, because this is one of the things that we have in there, to fill in to this letter, hi, Mr. Other Agent, or one of our agents, hi, Mr. Other Agent, we're missing the following documents, and then Realvolve puts into the documents, just the ones that are missing, right? I don't have to type them out, which is like so cool. It puts it in there right automatically for us, and it says, so, please get them to us by that. And then we send the email, and then like at the bottom you see action for incomplete checklist. So I could check it in 3 days, and if they still didn't have it, I could send them another very nice nasty gram saying, get us the documents, because if you don't, you're not going to get paid. Something like that. But it's an awesome way, again, of automating the stuff we do for every single transaction. So for me, this is like mind-blown territory. To have this much power to save my day in 5-minute chunks, to add those 5-minute chunks up so that I now have hours, full days back in my life that I can now use to live my life fuller, or to train my agents better, or frankly, I have the bandwidth to think about things that will just help my clients more. So let's go back to the bigger picture, the workflow. How does this work out in my day? So this was the flow chart that I showed you before. This is showing you how I now see things from the point that I do the listing appointment straight through to going into escrow and close. Okay, so here's what it looks like. When you go on a listing appointment, one of 3 things can happen. The first thing that might happen is that you didn't get the listing, in which case you need to go you need to go prospecting for more listing appointments, right? That can happen. The second thing that can happen, and I think this is pretty common, or at least it's common for me, is there's no decision. Right? And it's like, what do I do? Well, before Realvolve, what I would do actually is frankly walk away and probably never look back. And with Realvolve, we have a workflow for the seller appointment, the listing appointment, and once I leave, I enact that, and it's things like pre-written letters, giving them valuable content that I know they're going to need. Like one of the first letters I send is, thanks for meeting me. You sounded like you have some things that you want to fix up with the house, and here's a list of all of my trusted vendors. Valuable, right? Pre-written, by the way, so it only takes me 5 seconds to send. So letters like that, and then scheduled calls, because there's nothing that will replace that. Pick up the phone and talk to them. But because I love checking off my to-dos and I like clearing the list, I will actually do those calls. Whereas before I didn't do them because I frankly didn't want to hear they listed with somebody else. So now I need to make that phone call and check in with them. And then this one has been very valuable for me. I schedule market updates. So every 2 weeks, Realvolve tells me, get in touch with the seller and give them a market update, a house that's recently sold in the neighborhood, or a full-blown market analysis. And that one alone is probably going to earn 5 to 6 listings for me this year because I've been doing the follow-up, whereas I didn't do it before. The third thing that can happen is that you get the listing, which leads us to the dance of happy, and that's great. And what's going to happen when you get the listing is you see that little gray box that says general marketing. So that's your standard operating procedure. procedures. You do that on every single listing, and there's a whole bunch of things that we do for every single listing, like make sure that we have all the documents for document compliance. For me, it's client expectation letters so they know what they can expect to happen this week, or ordering a whole bunch of reports right away. Like for me, I order the preliminary title report the minute I get a listing, right? There are things that you do that are like that, and so you got all of those. But then there are things that only happen because of the situation, like attention off to the left, what if it's a condo or a townhouse? Now you need to order, your document compliance list is different now, right? Because you got all of those CCNRs, prelims, budget, bylaws, and articles of incorporation that you got to have in the meeting notes, right? So you got to have those, and we got to check those off. Or every city and municipality has their different requirements. I'm in the greater Los Angeles area, and so there are City of Los Angeles requirements, or if I sell something in the City of Pasadena, there's a City of Pasadena requirements. Every city has those. So you don't want to clutter up your list if you list a house that's not in one of those areas, but if you do list a house in one of those areas, you don't have to leave it to chance that you're going to remember all the things that the city is going to need in order for you to sell a house and close escrow, right? Take a look off to the right-hand side, and I have agent referral and non-agent referral. And this is what I mean by having extra bandwidth to think about those bonus points that are going to earn repeat and referral business for you. So somebody refers you a piece of business. We all know this is true. If you enroll that person in the process and you make them a part of your wins, all your little wins, are they going to feel really good about having referred their client to you or their friend or family? Yeah, you're going to feel really, really good. And if you keep doing this all the way through close of escrow, are they going to feel like, wow, I want to have that experience again. I want to refer them to somebody else? I mean, the answer is obvious, right? But how many of us have the bandwidth to think, ooh, I should call Joe and let them know that I got the listing? Okay, some of you are nodding your head going, yeah, I do that. Okay, all right, let's try the next one. How many of you consistently send an email to your referring partner and says, wanted to let you know we're about to go on the market. Here's a link to our single property website or our Facebook post or our open house invite. Can you please share this with all of your friends and family? I know it would make Joe feel really great to know they have your support. And by the way, why don't you come to the open house and see how we do? I mean, wow, that's like super bonus points. I mean, you might have that thought. You might do it once, but can you do it consistently on every transaction during spring rush when you've got 10 escrows going all at once? You know, maybe you're a better agent than I am, but I wasn't able to do that. So with Realvolve, it's coded right into the transaction. It happens whether we're busy or not, because you know what? Realvolve really doesn't care that we're busy. It doesn't care. It's just going to tell us to do it. And since we can do it in 5 seconds, you know, why not? Right? So we are able to really just upsize that whole ability to really take us to that place where those listings, those cards and letters are just going to come on a consistent basis, and our business will continue to grow. So that's the marketed listing. Now, what happens after you put the house on the market, right? You've done all your marketing. Well, one of two things can happen. We do all of our basic marketing and we don't get an offer. Oh, bummer. I mean, that probably hasn't happened in a while for most of us because the market's been so amazing and no inventory, but there's still some houses that maybe the seller wanted an aspirational price and it didn't get an offer right away. So we go into what I call the listing maintenance workflow, which is different than the listing marketing workflow. For example, open houses, a little bit different. Now we might have somebody other than ourselves hosting the open house, and that somebody needs to do it our way. So we want to get that in there. The way we social share might be different. The way we communicate the open house is going to be different. Or seller reports. You know, when we first launched the house on the market, we're calling the seller every day, telling them what we did. But once we get into the routine of things, we want to make sure that we're not one of those agents that loses a listing because the seller said, I never heard from you. And that phone call of, well, nothing happened this week. Boy, that's a hard phone call to make, right? So seller reports, real important. This is how we do it at Diggs. Every day, my listing marketer, my listing manager, she inputs at the end of the day anything that happened on our listings that day. So feedback that we got on showings, open houses, ads. You know, every week she checks our stats on the various internet portals. And then at the end of the week, she sends a seller report. So this is what happened on your listing this week. The next week, she starts over again. Every day she starts inputting things. And when she sends the seller report, Realvolve knows what items we sent in the previous reports, and it only sends the new items. So it's like super cool. Our sellers love that, and I don't get that complaint that sellers think I don't communicate with them. Okay, second thing that could happen is we get an offer, and that's frankly probably the more often thing that happens with us. Put a house on the market, we get offers, and we go into escrow. So again, with escrow, gray box, general things, this is your standard operating procedures, things that you do in every single solitary deal. Order the termite report, get the letters out, we text reminders, we do document clients. Those are the things that you do on every single one, and those are all codified in there. But with every escrow, there's going to be special circumstances. Like, you know, for example, here's a bonus point for you, backup offer. Many of us are getting multiple offers. We accept one, put it into escrow, and we take another one, we put them in a backup position. If you are like I was, you'd put the backup in there, and then you proceed to forget that the backup was ever there unless you get into trouble, right? But what if you were to have coded into your workflow, automatic, so you don't have to spend a lot of time or bandwidth to do it, communication, constant communication with the backup agent, telling them what's going on with your current offer? Do you think the likelihood that when you need them, when the first offer falls apart and you need the backup offer, do you think it's more likely they'll be there for you if you've been telling them all along the way what's been going on? Yeah, they probably will, because they like your house. Their client is in an emotional attachment with your house. They don't want to go buy another house. And if you give them even a glimmer of hope that they might be able to buy the house of their dreams, they're going to stick with you. They're not going to go off and buy another house, right? But do we do it? I mean, maybe you do. I didn't. But now I do, because I have Realvolve to help me do it. Loans. Okay, I mean, to me this is astonishing, but I get a lot of all cash offers now. I mean, I really do. And when I get an all-cash offer, there is a humongous section of my transaction workflow that no longer applies because I don't have a loan. So I don't have to worry about appraisal. I don't have to worry about documents. I don't have to worry about checking in. I don't have to worry about all of these things that we normally have to worry about when we're managing a lender and trying to get the lender to do their freaking job. So let's take all those to-dos off of our list so that when anyone in our organization, yourself as a single agent or your staff, when you look at your to-do list today, this morning, all of the to-dos are completely relevant and completely timely. That makes a to-do list fun. That makes a to-do list valuable. That makes a to-do list you're actually going to live from. So one last thing I want to do is I mentioned the templated letters and how powerful they are. And I mentioned the introductory letter. So this is our introductory letter that goes out. Introduces our team, makes sure everybody's on the same page with deadlines and dates. And this is, I'm pretty sure that most of you do a version of this. I just wanted to show you how powerful the template is. Everything that's in red was auto-filled by Realvolve, not us. So when we send this letter, and everything in black was actually something that I did, frankly, I did this last year. So I wrote this letter once, and then when we send the letter, Realvolve plugs in all of this unique information, and my administrator sends out the letter. 5 seconds, just to review it, 5 seconds. For those of you who are more confident, you don't even have to review it. It just goes out automatically. You never even have to look at it, right? So really takes things back. Now, I want you to know, we are not a magic pill. We are not something that you can just, it's not plug and play. You're not going to get the keys to Realvolve and then automatically have all of these, well, actually you could buy my tools, you know, that's fine, but you're not going to be this efficient the minute you open up Realvolve. There's some work involved. There's a learning curve. And I loved this movie, A League of Their Own. Did anybody see this movie? I love it. There is no crying in baseball. And he said in that movie, it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. It's the hard that matters. If you're on this webinar, if you're taking a day out of your very, very busy day during the spring rush, you are not everyone. You are not afraid of hard. You are not afraid to invest in your business, both money and time. You just want to know that it's going to be worth it at the end of the day, right? You're not afraid. You are not everybody. So Realvolve is a great product for you because we can give you such value, exponential value for the amount of effort and work that you put into it that it's going to change your business. And I don't say that lightly. My story is that when I launched my brokerage in 2015, it was like a confluence, like a perfect storm. I launched my brokerage. My lead administrator that had been with me for 2 years left in a huff. Very suddenly, and the new administrator who was supposed to receive 2 weeks worth of training actually got 1 day of training, and I actually added 2 brand new agents. This was all at once. I swear to God, this was like all within 30 days, and I just happened to have finished writing my Realvolve workflows for all the aspects of my business like a month prior to this all going down. And in 2000, this was the beginning of 2015, February 2015. In 2015, I doubled my business with no loss of quality. And I didn't want to diminish the talents of my administrative staff, which are considerable. They're awesome human beings. But I had no time, I had no ability to hold their hand through everything that was going on. And so they did an awesome job because they're smart, yes, but they did it my way, with my words, with my quality, with my style of communication because of the Realvolve workflows. And it's something that just really, I can't stress enough how valuable that was to my business. So what do you use workflows for? You can use them for kind of obvious things like listing and buying escrows, or when you take a lease, that's kind of like an escrow. Your marketing, contact follow-up, big deal, big deal, because contacts are constantly falling through the cracks. Lead generation response, which is different than your contact follow-up. Seller lead follow-up, that's been a big money maker for me. And then keeping in touch after close. I'm not one of those make best friends with every client I've ever had. So keeping in touch after close in a professional but valuable and engaging way, super important, and the workflows help me to do that. And then small workflows, because it doesn't have to be dynamic, you know, take you from beginning of the escrow through to the end of close. It could be small things like asking for a review, or handling multiple offers, or updating the referrals, or listing maintenance, price adjustments, relaunching the listing. That's one I wrote recently. Didn't have to do that before. Expired listing. Haven't had that yet, but it will be coming. Winter is coming. Content publishing. You can actually use workflows for things that are not running transactions. You can use it for other things that are part of your business. Annual events. We do a lot of event-based marketing here at Diggs, and we use workflows to do it. So a lot of things that you can do it. But that's not all. I promised Tom that I wasn't going to offer Ginsu knives as part of this deal, and I'm not, but I want you to know that it's not just workflows. That's just something that I'm obsessed with. It's a personal deal for me. I want you to know that we do all the stuff that you expect from a CRM. Right? I mean, if you're using a CRM, you need something to house all your contact data. Yeah, we do that. We do it in a more simple and powerful way, my opinion. We help you sort and prioritize your contacts and surface them when you need to surface them. We help you to keep notes, lots of long, extensive notes. We help you to filter, manage, group, tag. I mean, we do all that stuff. And we do it, in my opinion, and I've used probably 10 different CRMs to a pretty deep degree. I'm that nudgy realtor that takes a CRM to its utter limits, and then I get unhappy because it can't do all the things I want it to do. So we do all of this better. And if that's what you want a CRM to do, we've got that for you. And this part actually kind of is plug and play. This is simple. We consider it almost like basic, right? So we do all of that. I just wanted to make sure you knew that. So that was my planned presentation. Was there any questions that we had?
Yeah, we do have a number of questions, and looks like some of them have been answered, but I want to at least respect the questions, because I think that, and I'll even ask them again, even though they were answered individually. Basically, somebody asked, what is a CRM? And that's CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. So as you can see, it's just a way to manage your relationships, to manage the workflows, and then let's see, Kendall, if I've got some. Oh, and Kendall, by the way, I want to say you do an amazing job, and I love your passion. I mean, it just comes across that you're a passionate professional. I just kept thinking, wow, she's so passionate about this. So, anyway, let's see. Can you create a field that will add a template or a checklist based on a property city address?
Yes. That's the number of ways that you can use it, and I guess I didn't kind of get into this, but what's really cool about Realvolve, because I hate doing data entry. I mean, I'm a fast typer, and I hate data entry. And what I love about Realvolve is that you put the information in once, and then you can use it in like a bajillion different ways. And one of the ways is in the workflows, but another way is like a template letter. Like, so I might send out a letter thanking somebody for visiting my open house, right? And the subject line will be, thanks for visiting, and then I use a merge field for the property address. So when it gets to the person that's receiving, it's like, thank you for visiting 1650 Vista Drive, as an example.
Okay. And then I've got somebody who's asking how it compares to Realty Juggler. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or...
Kind of. I mean, so Realty Juggler is in that class of industry-specific CRM, so it's written for real estate, and it was, I call it some people are not going to like this, but I call it a kitchen sink CRM, okay? And frankly, we're kind of in that category too. We're trying to handle a number of different functions that a real estate agent has to deal with. We're not just handling the names, phone numbers, and email addresses, right? So Realty Juggler, the challenge, these are things I hear. I've never used Realty Juggler myself. I hear that the look of the product is very 1980s, and so it has a clunky interface. It's not easy to do this, that, or what have you, and just the general design of the CRM is less than elegant. Yeah, let's go with that. And so many people feel that it's not as easy to use or as powerful as some of the other CRMs in that class.
Hey, Kendall, can I key in on that too, real quick?
Please, Mark.
One of the things that is really instrumental in the design of Realvolve is the way we've incorporated the branching abilities within the workflows. So all the typical CRMs that are out there that are geared for our industry, the real estate industry, they have action plans or whatever, and they're very linear. With Realvolve, you can branch different directions in which, depending on the different cases that you run into, if you run into a challenge with an appraisal, you can't necessarily go forward with your normal workflow. You have to branch off a different direction. And with the workflows, it's much more powerful as far as the feature richness of Realvolve gives you that extra power to be able to do what you guys really do. She shared the straight line linear list of things, and you just don't do business that way. It's goes all different directions.
Thanks, Mark. And for those of you wondering, that's actually Mark Stepp. He's the Chief Innovation Officer at Realvolve. So I just want to, that wasn't me changing my voice. So thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
And then I've got, let's see, Fabian Moreno is asking, can it link directly to zip forms?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. And then also Mark Schwartz asks, can you import top producer contacts and data into this system?
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a tremendous import basically within top producer or any CRM that's out there. The different ones typically can export to a CSV file. Top producer in particular has an extremely large amount of fields, and we can import a majority, almost all of the fields that are in there. So you're getting a huge, including notes, your classifications, the contacts, the listings, the transactions, all that information does come in.
Okay, great. And then Fabian also asks, can it apply to property management?
We do have... different
Go ahead, Mark.
features depending. Actually, Kendall, go ahead and answer if you, because you probably do some of that.
Well, no, okay. So we have not written specific fields for the property management, but you can hack it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So, Tom, I just wanted to say this, and I've just been reminded that I forgot to do part. We do have a special offer for everybody on the webinar. It's a very, very time-sensitive one. I have an offer of workflows that will help you go from contact to close, and I've already pre-written them from my point of view, which is, as you've guessed, very passionate and quite detailed. So there's 7 workflows, and they have a value of $600. So if you were to do these yourselves and you were to find somebody to write this program for you, it would cost you probably more than $600 to write them. And they take you, for example, for lead follow-up. We have a couple, 3 different workflows to handle that. We have a workflow to handle your escrow if you're representing the buyer, or your escrow if you're representing the seller. We also have a workflow that is for after the close of escrow, and also after your listing appointment. I mentioned that one in my spreadsheet. So there's just a ton of value. All of the action items are there. The letters are pre-written with all of the merge fields, so you don't have to do that work for you. This is something that will get you from Realvolve keys to up and running just like that. And it's an awesome, awesome opportunity to experience the power of automation for your business without a lot of pain and suffering. So basic workflows. This offer is available to you until close of business tomorrow. So it's pretty short. And if you sign up on our link to get into Realvolve, you will receive these basic workflows as our incentive to really understand the power and start changing your business.
That's awesome. And I think, as you point out some of these workflows, I think, those of you who are listening out there, as Kendyl mentioned, these are workflows that are tried and true that she uses, and that you don't have to spend the time, developing yourself. So I think it's a great head start to get people up and running. And so we're going to do this through close of business tomorrow, so 5 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. tomorrow. And where do they go to sign up, Kendyl?
They're going to go to, Mark, do you have the address?
Just go to www.realvolve.com/car, C-A-R, and that is the page that you can pick which plan that you want. The pricing is dependent on how many users that you need for you. If you're an individual solo agent versus a small team, there's different pricing based off of your team size. So pick your team, and once you get that account set up, then we will also send you an email with the code to actually install Kendyl's workflows automatically for you.
Yeah, I think what an amazing tool, because I know, like, I'm going on vacation. I'm actually leaving from work to go run a race up in Eugene, Oregon this weekend, and I'm packing all these things going through my mind. Did I pack this? Did I do that? And when you were talking about, staying up at 2 o'clock in the morning thinking, did I do all this? I imagine there's such a peace of mind to know that all this stuff is being taken care of, that you're not sitting there going, you're sitting there and running into those brick walls or discovering those brick walls at the last minute. So I imagine the peace of mind this gives you is pretty amazing. But I did want to read a comment here. Doug Ranger was kind enough to say this. He goes, Kendyl is so easy to follow. I know of her, but have never heard her speak. Love her. So
well, thank you.
Yeah, great job. And then I also, we've got a few minutes left. I want to encourage everyone to follow Realvolve on Twitter. And I was actually looking at Twitter. You've got quite a great Twitter following. Somebody just said here, it said, I just sold a property in London, buyer in Paris, all in Realvolve. Workflows are global. So I thought that was pretty neat. Oh, and this one also says, Always love giving praise to great customer service. Shout out to Realvolve and their crew from Jennifer Reynolds. So, and then also make sure that you follow them on Facebook as well. Great little community on Facebook that follows you guys. So
we have some very passionate users, and they are instrumental in making Realvolve what it is. We've got a lot of experience in building this application as far as background goes, but whenever you factor in all the users that give their input, and it's a living product, it's something that's continually being worked on to make it better for you guys, and we just enjoy being able to give a solution that is viable for today's business.
And I do want to mention on Facebook, it does mention that coming up on May 24th, there's a CRM summit for the Santa Clara County Association of Realtors. So those of you in the Bay Area, Mark, are you all going to be speaking there or presenting? Or
Dave and I will be.
Yeah, Dave and Kendyl will be there.
Oh, perfect. So again, for those of you in Santa Clara County, it's the Santa Clara County Association of Realtors. It's Tuesday, May 24th. So coming up, and of course you can find that on the association website. Let me see if we've got any more questions.
It is Mac friendly. I saw one on there. You can use it on Windows. It is web based, so very much any browser access can be used. So. Okay.
Suzanne says, I appreciate your candor. And let's see. All right, I saw that question. It's Mac friendly. Sorry, everyone. I'm just kind of scrolling through these to make sure we cover all these questions. Oh, can you put the website on in writing? To type that out and answer to all?
Yeah, I can do that.
Do you see that question from Sylvia?
Yeah.
So if you'll answer to her and just click all so everyone can see it, that would be great. And then, as I mentioned, this has been recorded. Oh, there's the website up there. So this is being recorded, and so you should receive this afternoon an email with a link to the recording. And if you have any questions, who should they direct questions to? Is there an email address they can send questions to if they think of something after this is over?
Sure, info@realvolve.com, and we'd be happy to answer whatever questions people have. Doing a CRM is a commitment. We do get a lot of questions about, do we have a demo? And we don't. We don't do demos. The one thing that you really need to understand is whenever you come into a CRM, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes your commitment to making it work. And a lot of people will say, well, I want to try it before I really get into it. Well, you won't see what it can do for you if you just try a little bit. So we've got a lot of training. We've got a lot of availability for one-on-one training, as well as our YouTube channel. We've got a fantastic help website that will allow you to step through different documents and get the information that you need to go through it. So definitely take a look at it. We've got a lot of training, and if you feel like you're that person that needs to be more organized, take the step and really make a commitment to it. So
perfect. And I think you're right. Anything that you're going to commit to, it's like, whether it's a diet, I'm going to try a diet. Well, you don't just try, you got to be committed to it. So, I think that's good words of advice. So I think that's about it, unless, Mark, if you can see any other questions that we haven't gone over or answered.
Looking through them real quickly.
Yeah, I've been kind of scrolling through them too. I think we've covered pretty much everything, and I super appreciate everyone taking the time to attend the webinar, and also want to, if I can, just really quickly mention that we do have these webinars are always going on, and our next webinar will be it's a Claire's Touch CMA. So it's basically allows you to do listing presentations on your notebook, on your iPad. So that'll be March 5th. All of our webinars, by the way, are advertised on the car.org website. If you go into education webinars, you'll find our list of upcoming webinars, so feel free to check that out. And don't forget, you have your 12 free credits through CAR for education credits through CAR. So don't forget to sign up for those, all you out there. So again, Kendyl, amazing job, and Mark, thank you for answering the questions, and thank you everyone for attending. Any last words, Kendyl or Mark?
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone. Have a great rest of the day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.